information, opinions, and trivia. From the cowboy that knows, please welcome Cowboy Ron.
Hey, I'm glad to be back with you. Still thinking about my bus driving days as a tour guide in Washington, D.C. Let me set this up for you a little bit because this is incredible. You're going to meet two men, or I'm going to tell you about two men that were at the Battle of the Iwo Jima. One man was actually in the battle, the other man was on the ship. The man on the island was there for 21 days. Now, we picked up people at about 12 different hotels. The sergeant that was actually on the battle, I picked him up at the Holiday in 1501. And the commander that was on a ship, I picked him up on the night tour at the Holiday on New York Avenue. So anyway, we would have quite a few stops on a day tour. So when we got to the Marine Memorial, the Iwo Jima, I had been doing it about 6-7 years. I thought I was getting good because I knew all the trivia. The M1s are 16 foot long, carbines are 12 foot long, etc. But the sergeant, I went over and talked to him, and he mentioned to me that it was not exactly like in a John Wayne movie. When the flag went up, only 800 men, boys were dead. One was too many. But 30 days later, when the battle was finished, it was up to 8,000. During the tour, his wife mentioned to me that she was his second wife. And when he come home after the battle, his first wife had left him for another man. Well, let's go back to the sergeant. So he was explaining to me a lot about the battle. And I said, what was it like out there? He says, well, after 20 days, he says, you're like a zombie. He says, you can't get no sleep for the cannons and going out and shells coming in. And he says, you're partly drinking. And I asked him, I said, well, where would you get booze on an island like that? And he said, well, the enemies will share booze with you. I don't know exactly how that worked. I imagine after you killed them. So when he looked at it, he had a gaze. He just a certain look. And in my humble opinion, you had to be on that battle, not just a battle. Well, a lot of people like to see it at night, and he sort of wanted to go see it at night, but his wife didn't want to. And I didn't know much about him. I didn't know maybe they didn't have a lot of money or just maybe something she didn't want to see. So I said, Sarge, why don't you go with me? I got a bunch of tickets. I'll use one of them and you can go for free. So he said, yes, he would like to do that. Now, I just made that story up. The bus company I worked for, the owner was really cheap. And if he knew I put him on the bus, I would have had to pay for that tour. And I didn't have that money in those days. Well, we finished the tour on at the National Cemetery down to Mount Vernon, and I returned to the hotel. Well, at night I started my pickup, and the pickup started on the east side of Washington, D.C. So the first hotel I go to was the Holiday on New York Avenue, and just one or two people right away. One of the gentlemen says, Ronnie, are we going to stop at the Iwo Jima night? Is that definitely on the tour? I said, yes, sir, it is. Well, I knew right away that he was on that battle, and we got on the bus. I talked a little bit. And he explained he worked for DuPont Chemicals, and but he was a commander on the ship that fired the shells in to soften up the enemy. Well, I get down to some other hotels, and then I get down to the Holiday in 1501 Rhode Island Avenue, Scott Circle. And the sergeant's ready. He's really ready to go. So I set him and the commander together. Well, we had the tour. They talked a lot, but not when I was giving the tour. It took about another 20 minutes to pick up everybody. So we get over. It's dark, beautiful night, and they both go over and look at it. I left them alone, but he looked, and the commander, they looked at it, and again they had that gaze. They just totally focused on that memorial and what it meant to them and what it brought back. Well, we finished the tour. That was the last stop on the tour. And I dropped the sergeant off first at the Holiday Inn 1501 Rhode Island Avenue. And as we left, the commander says, "Ronnie, did you really give him one of your passes?" And I said, "Well, yes, sir. I didn't dig myself in deeper." He said, "Well, you should have saved it." He says he owns 3 motels in New Mexico. Now, isn't that incredible? So many died on that battle and on that mountain, and they survived that. He'd become an alcoholic, recovered from that, successful marriage, and built him a nice little business. Now, what I had told him, I'll give you just a little bit of as I approached it as, ladies and gentlemen, in front of us is the Marine Memorial of Jima, dedicated by President Eisenhower. The cost to build that memorial was $850,000. The monies we got from the Marines, former Marines, friends of the Marines, and Marine Reserve. The flagpole they're carrying is 60 foot high. The base of the memorial, to the top of the flagpole, is 78 feet. They carry 2 weapons, an M1, a carbine. M1 is 16 foot long, the carbine is 12 foot long. The boulders that they're standing on is real boulders off Mount Sabachi where that flag was placed. The base of it is black Swedish granite. And also at the base it has all the battles that the Marines were in from the early beginnings. It takes about 4 or 5 years, and they will have a commission and decide which battles should go up on there. Well, that's part of my life I really miss because I would always meet interesting people that taught me so much. But again, these 2 men were real men, and that was part of America's history. Now, this is Cowboy Ron, so we'll see you again when I remember something else.